Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, Chair of the Congressional Black Caucus for the 119th session of Congress and proud representative of New York's 9th Congressional District, located in Brooklyn, New York. We are joined here today by Maya Wiley of the Leadership Conference, Mark Marial of the National Urban League, Derek Johnson of the NAACP, Reverend Siobhan Arline Bradley of the National Council of Negro Women, Melanie Campbell of the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, and Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant of the National Pan-Hellenic Council of Presidents. I want to thank all of the leadership for joining us today and for partnership with the Congressional Black Caucus. It is critical that we gather in this moment, given what we are up against. Across the country, our communities are voicing deep concerns about the threat posed by Donald Trump and his allies. Today, our democracy, economic opportunity, fundamental freedoms, and access to the ballot box are under attack. Over the past year, we have seen a concerted effort to roll back civil rights, undermine voting access, dismantle social programs, and concentrate power in the hands of the wealthy and well-connected at the expense of our communities. From weakening the Voting Rights Act and advancing voter suppression measures like the SAVE Act, to politicizing the courts and sowing fear and division through actions cause real and disproportionate harm to Black communities. Instead of working to lower the rising cost of living and create real pathways to economic security and advancement, the Trump administration has been working overtime to take our country in the wrong direction. Today, under Trump's historically unpopular leadership, Black unemployment has reached a staggering 8.3%, the highest since the height of the COVID pandemic, undoing progress made through intentional investment and inclusive economic growth. Attacks on the Affordable Care Act continue to threaten health care for millions in our communities, putting life-saving coverage and access to prescription medications at risk. And the ongoing assault on the diversity of our nation, from the federal workforce and Black-led institutions to journalists, educators, and local leaders, represents a direct attack on the values of our democracy. Underlying it all is a clear truth. Donald Trump and Republicans understand that their path to maintaining the majority depends on weakening the collective voting strength of Black communities through racially gerrymandering maps ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Right now, they are relying on the Supreme Court in the Louisiana v. Calais case to clear the path for their plan to cement one-party control in Washington. But let me be clear, we will not waver. The Congressional Black Caucus will not be silent. We will not back down, nor will our partners in the Divine Nine and civil rights community. Together, we are working to legislate, organize, mobilize our communities against these efforts because too much is at stake for our communities. And having said that, it's my honor to bring to the podium at this time the leader of the Democratic Caucus, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries.
Good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking my good friend and the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, for her continued leadership and partnership. Let me acknowledge all of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, including, of course, our immediate past chairs, Congressman Stephen Horsford and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. So thankful to be present with these distinguished civil rights leaders, leaders of the Divine Nine, as well as faith leaders and people from all throughout the country who are champions of the African American community, champions of the principles that make this country at its best a country of liberty and justice for all. Donald Trump once asked Black America the question, what the hell do you have to lose? The answer is everything under his administration. We know that under the Trump administration, civil rights is under attack, voting rights is under attack, reproductive rights under attack, racial justice under attack, social justice under attack, economic justice under attack, black entrepreneurship under attack. What the hell does Black America have to lose under Donald Trump? The answer clearly is everything. Black America is under attack. The United States of America has been under attack by the failed policies of a failed president and sycophants in the Republican Party who continue to act like nothing more than a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. Under the Trump administration, the black unemployment rate is up, the black home ownership rate is down, and health care is being ripped away from millions of Americans, disproportionately impacting black and brown communities and lower income white communities throughout the nation. But we're here as members of the Congressional Black Caucus, civil rights leadership, faith leaders, leaders of the Divine Nine organizations, standing together to make clear that we're not going to step back, we're here to fight back. Right. And to make sure we protect the interests of Black America and all of the United States of America. Yeah. And as John Lewis would often encourage us to do, we will continue to show up. We will continue to stand up. We will continue to speak up. We'll summon that character, that courage, that conviction of those upon whose shoulders in this Black History Month we proudly stand upon. And together we're going to end this national nightmare and continue this country's march toward a more perfect union. God bless you all. And now it's my honor to introduce my big sister in the Congress, a classmate of mine, past chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, an incredible champion for her communities and all communities. I'm Hakeem Jeffries, and I approve this message on behalf of Joyce Beatty.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. I am Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, representing Ohio's 3rd Congressional District and proud to be Chair Emerita of the Congressional Black Caucus. Today, we members of the Congressional Black Caucus stand united with our civil rights leaders, with our Divine Nine, business leaders, and faith leaders. We are here to honor our legacy and to move forward to fight for justice, equity, and equality for Black Americans and for all Americans. But just as Black history is American history, justice for Black Americans is justice for all Americans. For more than 55 years, the Congressional Black Caucus has fought to empower the more than 120 million Americans and 20 million Black Americans that we represent. Our mission has been steadfast and undeterred to uplift and empower the Black community. The task is more urgent now than ever before. We have navigated a struggling economy, attacks on our democracy, and one unprecedented crisis after another, and yet we still stand. Today we stand against the calculated campaign led by Donald Trump and his allies to dismantle, to gut, to suffocate voting rights and civil rights. and all of our other protections. We stand against their efforts to whitewash and purge our history from classrooms, from books, from institutions and public life. We sound the alarm as our democracy faces relentless, coordinated assaults from a Trump administration that has weaponized more than the 150 executive orders against black communities. We sound the alarm against an administration that continues to celebrate racial tropes, most recently against the nation's first black president and our first lady. Donald Trump and his movement are a clear and present danger to our democracy, to the rule of law, and to the very humanity of this nation. In the face of this danger, the Congressional Black Caucus will not flinch, will not fold, will not retreat, because we fight for the American people. We will continue to be the conscience of the Congress and this country, fighting for authoritarian, bigotry, and weaponizing of the government against our people. We will fight against those things. The Congressional Black Caucus has delivered historical victories, from passing the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act to making lynching a federal crime, to advancing police reform, expanding health care as we just recently did under the leadership of leader Hakeem Jeffries, and for securing historic investments in black-owned businesses and HBCUs. We continue to defend the Voting Rights Act through the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, because the ballot is the foundation of freedom. Dr. Martin Luther King reminds us, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And Fannie Lou Hamer declared, nobody's free until everyone is free. Those words continue to guide us as our nation approaches its 250th birthday, and we mark 100 years of celebrating Black history. The Congressional Black Caucus is unbought, unbossed, unafraid, and Black leadership will continue to shape America's story and her future. And yes, I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve this message. Now I have the distinct pleasure to ask the President and CEO of the National Urban League to come forth, Mark Morial.
Thank you very much. First of all, good morning. We just spent about an hour, leadership of the Congressional Black Caucus and the leadership of the nation's leading civil rights organizations, in conversation and celebration, because this is Black History Month. And I want the members of the media to know that this is the 100th anniversary of the Black History Month celebration. And even though for the first time in 50 years, there is no official celebration of Black History Month at the White House, there is an official celebration here in the Capitol that we just had. Number two, I could spend the next 15 minutes telling you how reprehensible and how offensive the actions in depicting Barack and Michelle Obama were last week. I could spend 15 minutes or an hour sharing with you how the pictures from Minneapolis and Los Angeles and other communities of sworn law enforcement officers engaging in abject brutality and constitutional violations. But what I want to spend the next minute or two sharing with you is a peek at the analysis that we've done on the first year of the Trump economic policies insofar as Black America and the nation are concerned. What we've seen is 1 year of chaos and confusion. We've seen 1 year of a bait and switch strategy that said, number one, if we impose tariffs, it will yield a manufacturing nirvana for the American people. Instead, what we see is that yesterday, Ford Motor Company, in releasing its earnings, had one of its worst earnings cycles in recent memory. What we see is tens of thousands going on 100,000 manufacturing jobs lost this year when we were promised a manufacturing nirvana because of these failed tariff policies. What we see is a tariff tax that is costing the average American family $1,000 a year extra in expenses due to the impact it is having on the things that they buy. And then number two, what these policies have yielded, as referenced before, is an wholesale attack on the hard-fought work of the civil rights movement going back to 1954 that opened the doors for black Americans and women and other people to ascend to the highest levels in American life. Instead of embracing the idea that I am a president for all people, what we have seen is a campaign to divide us, to divide us by race, to divide us by gender, to divide us by red state, blue state, sectionalism, and you can imagine it. Think about the idea that any president of the United States would not invite every governor to the White House. And I applaud the governors for saying, no, we won't go unless we can all go. These have been policies that have divided this nation and hurt our economy. And then finally, the big ugly bill has cost us investments in schools and children and health care, and it is only just beginning. So on this Black History Month, we're here to say these economic policies are damaging black America, raising our unemployment. But as has been said, we stand united to bend this curve. And we commit today to fight and fight and fight until hell freezes over, and then I can assure you we will fight on the ice. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, and I was told to also know that there's votes coming, so some of the members are going to have to leave. Melanie Campbell, head of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. It is an honor to stand here with the conscience of the Congress and with my civil rights colleagues, Divine Nine, faith leaders, and others. As a profound reminder, this is a profound reminder of what black history and collective leadership looks like in action. This year, has been stated, marks the 100th anniversary of the celebration of black history. We honor this century by acknowledging that we are not just the inheritors of history, we are the architects of it. On May 5th, 2026, the National Coalition will celebrate our 50th anniversary of our founding as an organization, which is a Black History milestone. Our mission is clear. With my colleagues, we will continue to fight for our rights, fight for our freedoms, fight for justice, safety, protect democracy, and opportunities to not only survive, but for our people to thrive. We are at a critical juncture for our democracy. When the executive branch of the federal government has been taken over by an authoritarian and fascist regime, we must fight to have a federal government that functions with integrity where no one is above the law. We must have robust checks and balances where all three levels of government serve we the people and honor their oath to protect the Constitution of the United States. We must have a federal government that protects our civil rights and the Congress that will immediately pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And at the end, I have more to say. I'm just going to skip that because I know we got a lot been said. And I have colleagues. We pause to celebrate black history that is American history. Let us never forget to remember our ancestors and predecessors who fought and died for us to be free. We have the power. We have the power. We have the vote, and we will remember those who think they can erase black history. We built this country. We're not going nowhere. Take note. Watch 2026 election and see what we do. Thank you.
Let me now ask Derek Johnson, Reverend Siobhan Arline Bradley, and Maya Wiley to come and speak in that order.
Thank you, Chairwoman Clark, for putting this together. At NACP, we stand in solidarity with all of the organizations here today. 100 years of black history. History is something that we should learn from, not repeat. 100 years ago, we witnessed the decline of this country through our stock market crash in 1929, the erosion of civil rights, no protections, regulatory industries causing harm in our food, our water, our air. And here we are 100 years later about to repeat that same problem. For the NAACP, it's important for us to stand with black institutions because we all know collectively we would never suppress our identity for political expediency or anyone else's comfort. In this moment in our democracy, black folks are the most democratic citizens of this country. And so we stand here to advocate for a constitution that affords equal protection under the law. We stand here advocating to ensure that all Americans are provided a fair wage for their work. We stand here to ensure that the democracy survive an administration that is seeking to attack it. So thank you to the CBC. Thank you to all the partners for making sure this moment is recognized. Black history is American history. So let's celebrate American history through the lens of black people. Peace and power.
Thank you to our leadership here for the opportunity to share on Black History Month celebration here on the Hill. Mary McLeod Bethune founded NCNW 90 years ago because she believed that informed and organized black women and black families could shape our future. And Dorothy Irene Height, the only woman who stood as a standing figure of the Big Six, fought for decades to ensure that laws would be written to contend with the obstacles from years to come. Black women have been the backbone of our families and communities, and it is up to us to stand in the gap to exercise our collective power. And that is why today, NCNW is here excited to share with you that we will partner with the Black Women Leadership Collective to register 1 million new black voters in 2026. Our plan is simple: organize, mobilize, educate, and activate for this country's most consistent voting bloc, black women and black families. You see, democracy only works when people have the right and the ability to participate in civic engagement. Right now, we see pieces of legislation like the Save America Act intended to be passed to pass racist legislation to advance concerted efforts to compress and suppress the black vote. In closing, my friends, NCNW will continue to stand with the leadership here, with the Divine Nine, with faith leaders, and with the CBC to ensure that we reach our nearly 3 million men and women on college campuses, in faith houses, and in institutions across this country. We remain committed, unified, and self-reliant to know that the black community is a standing part of American history. The question is, are you ready to deal with this force? We're ready.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to acknowledge history in our present in one of our two black women senators, Lisa Blunt Rochester. This is part of what we've been talking about today, what it means to be black people and be able to have a choice in who leads us and know and recognize that the leaders we are with, standing with, by, and for, are representing the things that our communities need and that, frankly, every American needs. And that is what Black history represents. I am privileged to lead the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, which is 76 years old this year. founded by black leaders like the NAACP and the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, as well as Jewish leaders. Why do I say that is important to recognize when we are saying we will celebrate our history? It's because we are the most diverse coalition in the nation, Black legacy, and we look like America. So what we say when we say we will not be iced out, we will not be iced out by choices to spend $75 billion in 1 year to have a private army that violates our rights, that tells our children that despite their birthright, what we fought as civil rights for as black people to be recognized as citizenship, as our citizenship, that you can't require us to carry a passport. That when we understand that a Gainesville 8th grader, a black child who had to go testify in a hearing about how viciously he was bullied using the N-word, complaining about the racist bullying, and not one response, including from the Department of Education, where we fought as a community to ensure that every child could file a complaint and ensure they couldn't get bullied. But what happens when he gets called the N-word again? He gets disciplined and loses 3 days in school, and the kids who bully him don't have any consequence. But that same Department of Education is now threatening higher education for trying to understand how to get college students to vote. Civic participation. This is about how this administration is using the tools we built as a black community to ensure that all of our people are protected against our very rights to be. And we will not be iced out. So when we know and hear that Pam Bondi is testifying about Epstein, we also understand that rather than bringing investigations on killings of people based on how they look or who they are, that she would rather turn prosecutors where? To go after protesters rather than abusers. To go where? To Fulton County, Georgia, where 43% of voters are black, to try to steal our voter data. So when we say we will not be iced out, is because our black future will be authored by us. Thank you.
And we're going to now hear from Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant.
Good afternoon. As was said, my name is Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant, International President and CEO of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated and Chairwoman of the Council of Presidents for the Divine Nine, the National Pan-Hellenic Council. It is an honor to join here today as we convene for this very important discussion, anchored by leaders whose commitment to public service continues to move our nation forward. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, thank you as chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and past chairs Horsford and Beatty and all members of the Congressional Black Caucus who are here with our civil rights leaders, faith leaders, and my fellow presidents of the Divine Nine. I'm especially encouraged by the collaborative spirit that anchors today's discussion. Our nation faces serious and complex issues: economic inequity, threats to voting rights, disparity in healthcare, education, and housing, and the urgent need to prepare our communities for a rapidly changing technological landscape. These challenges require clarity, courage, and unity of purpose. As a group of nonpartisan organizations, unity is something that our community knows well because we have modeled it for generations. Through our institutions, our leadership, and our collective action, our shining example is the legacy of the enduring impact of the National Pan-Hellenic Council. For more than a century, the 9 Black Greek-lettered organizations have been driving forces in shaping Black excellence through civic engagement and the historical progress that we've seen in this country. Through our scholarship, our activism, and our service, as well as leadership development, the MPHC has produced generations of change makers who have transformed our communities and country. Among us, we have centuries of strategic service, political advocacy, and transformational leadership. Over 2 million of us in our communities are a reflection of what America really looks like, uplifting the communities that we serve. Our members understand this conversation is not just about Democrats or Republicans. It's about a democracy that is very fragile, and it should be the home of the free and the land of the brave for all people, not just some. There are millions of families across the nation today who don't know where their next paycheck is coming from and can't pay for child care, student loan debt, or the rent care that they need for health. When Mississippi declared a public health emergency for infant mortality, we were there. When members of our community navigated daunting reentry back into their neighborhoods after incarceration, we were there. When brilliant students were sidelined by a lack of scholarship funding, we were there. When families in our communities faced the silent crisis of food insecurity and displacement, we are there. These communities and our contributions remind us that progress is not accidental. It's organized, intentional, and rooted in service and activism. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated uplifted the spirit of advocacy and intellectual leadership through giants like their member, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., pioneering civil rights. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority has led groundbreaking initiatives in education, health, and global services, and through leaders like our past Vice President Kamala Harris. Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated has long championed membership, achievement, and community empowerment, ensuring black men have pathways to success. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity has advocated scholarship and social justice activism through courageous leadership like members like Honorable James Clyburn. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated marched into history in 1913 and remained on the front line of political engagement and social action, from leaders like Mary McLeod Bethune to our chair of the CBC, Yvette Clarke. Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated established a model of brotherhood and community service, deeply intertwined with civic responsibility and social progress, with members like John Lewis. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated pioneered community-focused service, maternal health advocacy, youth development programs, and strengthened families, from members like Clara Luper to voices like present-day Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove. Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority has elevated public service and education access, building global impact through programs that empower women, children, and family. And Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated emerged during the civil rights movement, modeling progressive activism and the importance of meeting community needs and innovation and courage. The bottom line, D9 Stronger Together is more than a hashtag or a trendy term. It is what we do, who we are. We will not be silent, and we will continue to lead.
Let me ask if there are any questions from the press. Freedom, are you around? So we can get all of these questions in.
Hi, Cheyenne Dandy with Politico. Just two questions, if possible. One, we heard last week from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt say that she can't guarantee that ICE will not be at polling places come November. Just wanted to see what reaction could be to that and what is being put in place to potentially protect voters who maybe are concerned about police presence near their polling places. And then two, we talked a lot today about the unemployment rate for Black Americans, which we know is especially disproportionately affecting Black women. Any news on how the CBC is hoping to counter this unemployment crisis our community is facing?
Very well. Let me have Derek Johnson, President and CEO of the NAACP, speak to your first question.
Great question as it relates to ICE. At ACP, along with our partners, we are prepared to file lawsuits. Voter intimidation is still on the books. It is illegal. We're also going to be working with the CBC and members of both the House and the Senate in the negotiation to ensure that ICE presence at the polling place will be prohibited on a condition of their funding. It is unprecedented to allow an agency that are seeking civil penalties against individuals to now pursue courses of actions to criminalize individuals or go beyond their charge. Citizens of this country should not be accosted by ICE because they have no authority. Citizens of this country still have the protection of a Constitution, particularly the Fourth Amendment searches and seizures. Citizens of this country are not subject to ICE intimidation, and our elections are only for citizens of this country. There are no individuals who are the target, so to speak, of ICE who will be voting, because there's no history of undocumented individuals voting in our elections, so it should not be tolerated in this country.
Can you repeat your second question again?
Yes, just what are leaders doing to address the unemployment and economic crisis that our community is facing?
And I'll speak specifically to your question around black women, because we're close at this point, almost 8% unemployment for black women. NCNW is taking a special focus here, because what we found is that economic engagement for black women is connected to their health care, connected to their access to groceries, et cetera. This is a long-term challenge that we have seen. We have focused primarily on education and advocacy. Our first plan was called Project Rise. We decided to focus on resources for investments, savings, and economic empowerment. And the reason that we did that is that we found with this last government shutdown, with the changes to DEI, we saw over 300,000 black women affected in this process. Our education plan was to travel the country and provide financial literacy, support with partners with banks to be able to find capital access for families. The last thing was our job fair. And the reason why we had to focus here is because many black women are qualified. We are the fastest growing black business owners in this country. Right now, when you look at access to capital, black women fare terribly. And what we have found is our ability as an organization to partner with banks, to partner with organizations like the Urban League on the ground, we've been able to identify new funding resources for black women. The last thing I'll say is this. This is where the ballot box makes a difference. Our ability to connect finance to voting, finance to be able to feeding our families is connected to who is in office. We are calling on our legislative leaders, regardless of your party, to focus on the people. And the people need our government officials to redefine their financial policies and economic investments in those communities that have done the work. We are a community that is committed to not only our civic engagement, but to our financial engagement.
I want to add something to this. First of all, what caused it?
Yes.
What caused? We were at 4.3% black unemployment in 2023. The lowest black unemployment in American history. What caused it? Three things. Tariff, tax, chaos was a causal factor in the impact on unemployment and the economy and has affected black America deeply. Number two, the anti-DE&I executive orders and the administration squeezing and extorting American corporations through its regulatory power. You want a deal approved, you've got to, quote, get rid of your diversity programs. That was a causal factor. The third causal factor was the big, ugly bill. So we are going to all do job fairs, entrepreneurship, and we're going to fight and fight and fight to survive. But if you want to ask me, how do you reverse this? It's going to take, one, the Supreme Court stepping up and invalidating these tariffs as an abuse of presidential power. Number two, an election result that sends a message to the business leaders in America to restore their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And also an election and a political lineup that says, let's repeal and replace the big, ugly bill. 250,000 plus federal workers, many in this city, maybe a third to 40% African American, were laid off for no reason whatsoever other than an assault by Trumpism and Dogeism. So we got to confront what caused the pain we face if we are going to confront. None of this was going to happen if the policies that began to take place in January of 2025 had not come to fruition. This is what is important. This is no business cycle. This is no, it was factors with respect to the balance of trade with China, negotiations with the European Union. This was intentional damage to the American economy that has impacted black people, black women, and all Americans across the board. I want to be clear, we want to be clear that it was caused, it was intentional, and the policies have created the pain.
Good afternoon. I'm Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester, and I was not scheduled to be here. Don't have any remarks, but I did want to represent the members of the Senate, and also just to answer, also to follow up on that last question, because as a former Secretary of Labor of Delaware, jobs are a priority. They are a key. And so in addition to those things that were mentioned, we also know that we've got to be concerned about artificial intelligence and it having an impact on the workforce. And so that's one of the things that we're working very closely on as well. And I just want to echo everything that has already been said. I think it's important, especially in this moment, as we celebrate, honor Black history, that we not become history. And I think part of the goal is just to erase us and make us history. And so this collective is representative of the fact that we have been through, we will go through, and we will overcome this moment. And so, again, in the absence of our chairwoman from the CBC, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. People will be available for questions, but thank you so much to these heroes, sheroes, and power brokers and family. That's right. The family. Thank you so much. Happy Black History Month. Thank you.
Amen. Good to see you.
I was like,
Good.
Let's take Mark.
Tell us. Let's take a good picture. Okay. Where's a good picture? Good picture. You want to get in front? Let's get in front.
Let's go in front of the photo.
This thing, you want to stand here?
Anybody here? Right here. Middle. Thank you so much. Anybody over here? Right here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, that is my bag.
Don't leave your bag.
Thank you for that, sis.
I gotta go.